There was once an American president who witnessed the horrors of genocide with his own eyes. He walked through concentration camps and wept at what hatred had wrought. And when that same president saw injustice committed by the state of Israel, he said no. His name was Dwight D. Eisenhower. He became the only American president to impose an arms embargo on Israel and threaten real sanctions to stop their military aggression. Today, as Gaza burns and over 60,000 souls cry out from their graves, we must ask, where are the Eisenhowers of our time? In October 1956, Israel joined Britain and France in a coordinated attack on Egypt over the Suez Canal. It was a war of conquest, dressed in the language of security. Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion believed the United States would simply look the other way, that the Israel lobby was already too powerful to challenge. He was wrong. President Eisenhower was furious. On February 20th, 1957, he went on national television and addressed the American people directly. He didn't equivocate. He didn't hide behind diplomatic language. He told the truth. Israel must withdraw from occupied territories. Period. But Eisenhower didn't just talk. He acted. He suspended all military aid to Israel. He threatened to end economic assistance. He supported UN sanctions. He even threatened to expel Israel from the United Nations if they refused to comply. And when his own party, the Republicans, pushed back, when the lobby brought pressure, Eisenhower stood firm. Within weeks, Israel withdrew completely from the Sinai Peninsula and Gaza. Why could Eisenhower do what seems impossible today? Because he had seen evil face to face. In April 1945, General Eisenhower walked through the Ohrdruf concentration camp in Germany. He saw the piles of bodies. He smelled the death. And he said something that should echo through every American administration. We are told that the American soldier does not know what he's fighting for. Now at least, he will know what he's fighting against. Eisenhower knew that being pro-Jewish and being anti-occupation were not contradictions. They were moral necessities. He had fought to liberate the Jewish people from genocide. He would not now enable them to commit injustice against another people. That was courage. That was moral clarity. That was Christian conviction that all human life is sacred. Imagine for a moment a different history. Imagine if President Kennedy had followed Eisenhower's example in 1967, when Israel occupied the West Bank, Gaza, and the Golan Heights. Imagine if he had said, withdraw or face consequences. Imagine if President Carter had not just brokered peace with Egypt, but demanded justice for Palestinians with the same force Eisenhower used. Imagine if President Reagan, President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama had wielded America's leverage, the billions in annual aid, the weapons, and the diplomatic cover for Israel to demand adherence to international law. Imagine how many children would be alive today. How many olive groves would still stand? How many families would not be shattered by occupation, by siege, by endless war? The Eisenhower path was clear. American friendship, yes. American support for Israel's security, yes. But not American complicity in occupation. Not American weapons used to oppress. Not American silence in the face of injustice. But his successors lacked his courage, and the lobby he defied grew stronger with every president who bowed before it. It is called AIPAC. Now we come to our present darkness, Gaza, October 2023 to today. Over 60,000 dead, 70% of them women and children. Hospitals bombed, schools destroyed, families buried alive under rubble, starvation used as a weapon, entire bloodlines erased from the earth. And what have Presidents Biden and Trump done? Joe Biden, who calls himself a devout Catholic, who wears his faith on his sleeve, has sent over $18 billion in military aid to Israel during this war. $18 billion in bombs, in missiles, in weapons used to level neighborhoods. He has vetoed multiple UN Security Council resolutions calling for a ceasefire. He has sent American aircraft carriers to shield Israel from consequences. He called himself a Zionist. He has given speech after speech about Israel's right to defend itself, while 2 million people in Gaza have no right to food, water, or life itself. When his own State Department officials resigned in protest, when human rights organizations screamed genocide, When the International Court of Justice found plausible evidence of genocidal acts, Biden sent more weapons. Where is the president who would go on television and say, enough? Where is the arms embargo? Where are the sanctions? Where is the moral courage? And Donald Trump, the man who claims to be the greatest deal maker, the strongest leader, he turned out to be even more pro-Israel than Biden. He continuously asked Netanyahu should finish the job in Gaza. He has mocked calls for humanitarian aid. He moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem in his first term without demanding anything for Palestinians in return. Not statehood, not rights, not even recognition of their existence. Even his current 20-point peace plan is very uncertain to bring peace. Sure, it brought a stop for bombing and killing. It has the same flaws as his previous decisions. No consequences for Israel for the 17 years of blockade of Gaza. This plan also does not ensure a pathway for a Palestinian statehood. The plan definitely looks like it will make Jared Kushner rich. Trump calls himself a defender of Christian values, yet he champions policies that make Christians in Palestine, the oldest Christian community in the world, disappear from the Holy Land. Both men had the power to stop this. Both men had the leverage Eisenhower used. Both men chose to bow before the lobby instead. This is not strength. This is cowardice. President Eisenhower was not perfect, but in that moment, in 1956, he understood something that our current leaders have forgotten. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Matthew 5:9. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Proverbs 31:8. Eisenhower showed us that standing against injustice, even when committed by an ally, is not anti-Semitic. It is not anti-Israel. It is pro-human. It is pro-justice. It is what moral leadership looks like. The question for Biden, for Trump, and for every American who claims to follow the Prince of Peace is this: will you have the courage Eisenhower had? Or will you continue to send weapons while children die and call it support for our ally? History will judge, and God is watching.